Hi, this is Alex, and on behalf of the Engineering Student Government, I'm going to share a quick tip about waste diversion. And waste diversion is one of the key tenets of sustainability. For all of you following along with the Earthfest scavenger hunt, U of M's goal is to reduce waste from landfills by 40% by 2030. And one of the best ways to do that is to reduce kitchen waste. And following zero waste recipes is a great way to get started. So we have one of those today. It's going to be really quick and easy for oat milk, and then we're going to make granola out of the oat pulp that's remaining. So we're going to start with the two key ingredients. Obviously are going to be oats and water. I have half a cup of oats, 2 cups of water. You can use that same proportion in any amount that you'd like. So basically just however many oats you use, you want 4 times as much water. And if you wanted to be very simplistic about it, this is all that you would need and you would just blend it. But if you want a bit of flavor, then I use about a teaspoon of vanilla extract and about a tablespoon of maple syrup. Finish it with just a couple shakes of salt, and then you can blend it. You don't want to over blend this. It can still be fairly coarse because we're going to end up straining it. So just pulse it for 15 or 20 seconds. So now that we have that blended up, this is halfway there to getting your oat milk. And the next step is to strain out any remaining solids, and what's left will be your oat milk. And the kind of leftover from that is going to be the pulp, and that's what we'll do with granola. So there's a couple different ways that you could strain your milk off of your pulp. I'm just going to be using this really fine mesh strainer. An even better way would be using a very thin kitchen towel like this. Really any way to just separate the solids from the liquids. So I'm just going to dump this in and run it through the strainer. And then we should be left with the pulp up top and the liquids in the bottom. Now, if you're using something finer, like a towel or a nut milk cloth, then you would probably only need to do this once and it would capture most of your solids. But since I am using kind of a coarse filter and it has a fairly large pore size, I'm going to run this through a couple times. And that way it will get really most of the pulp separated. And you can see there's even a bit left in the bottom here. But I'll just stir this up and let the liquid run through. As you can see, most of the liquid's out and we're left with pulp there. And I'm just going to transfer it to a different container so that we can do it one more time. Before you do that, I recommend setting this pulp to the side. Alright, and we can go for our second strain, and that'll help keep the milk even smoother than it would be after one, and really get a little better consistency of that. As you can see, we actually collected very little pulp there, as you expect. So to make oat milk, it's really as easy as that. We have just a little under 2 cups of yield here, and all it took was basically some water, oats, and a couple of add-ins if you want for flavor. And so now what we're left with is this oat pulp. If you used a towel like this one or some sort of nut cloth, then it would be even drier than it is now because I just used a strainer. It is a little bit wet, but that's okay. And we're going to be making granola with it. So the step to get from oat pulp to granola is actually really simple. Basically, we just want to add anything that we want in our granola to this pulp and then dry it out until it's totally dry, kind of crispy. I don't have a ton of stuff with me right now, so just a couple basics that I'll throw in are some whole oats for a little bit of texture, a bit of cinnamon, These are both just a flavor, however much you'd like, so go wild with it, and a touch of honey to help it stick together and for sweetness. So we can just stir that up. And I did a pretty small batch of this milk and granola just because I was using a pretty small blender. However big of a blender you have, or a food processor if you fancy, then you can definitely increase this or decrease it if you're looking to just make one glass at a time. The oat milk will stay in the fridge for about a week, so it's pretty easy to store. Just stir it up every time before you drink it. And now that we've mixed our granola, all you'll want to do is drop it out onto a oiled pan, any sort of non-stick spray or butter or whatever you have around for that. And then we want to press it down as flat as possible. I have so little here that that'll be pretty easy. And once you've got it all flattened out, it'll break into some pieces, that's fine. It actually saves you work on the back end, you don't have to crumble it. And you'll just want to put this in the oven, or toaster oven if you have one, at about 375 until it's totally dry. That, in my experience, takes about half an hour, but it might be a little more, a little less depending on your oven. And what you'll be left with after that is a granola that looks something like this. And that's great to put on a yogurt or acai bowl, or just eat as cereal. So, it's a pretty simple recipe, and more importantly, it's zero waste. Thanks for watching.